Hey everybody, it's Sasha. You may have seen my video about the IBX, the new train line that's coming to Brooklyn and Queens. And in the comments, some people said, why not do the Queenslink? So, let's do the Queenslink. Okay, you need some background. If you aren't from New York, you may not know that getting north-south across this part of the city is way more difficult than it needs to be. I live here, and I have friends who used to live here 4 miles away, and that took me an hour by bus. I could have walked. But it turns out that there's an abandoned train line going all the way down here. Thus, the Queenslink, a transit plan backed by community organizations and local neighborhood politicians, including the author of one of the best transit blogs in the universe, Van Schnookenragen. You should read it. Queenslink would add a key stop in a surprisingly dense neighborhood that doesn't have train service. It would give everybody along here an easy way to get to Midtown, because their trains currently go to downtown Manhattan. It would let the G train go to Forest Hills, which a lot of people want. It would add park and recreational space all along this way. And people on this end of Rockaway don't even have a one-seat ride to Manhattan at all, and it would get all of these people to other parts of Queens and Manhattan much more easily. I'm at 63rd Drive, which is sort of the beginning of the Queenslink, but not really, because the point of the Queenslink is that it links Queens all the way to Manhattan via the M train. This is just the last existing stop on the M train that's going to have to then go up on the overpass and become the Queenslink. I love Queens. I've lived here for 25 years. I'm still discovering things, like what's up with this dance studio in the subway station next to a pawn shop also in the subway station. And then if you go out into Rego Park, there are all of these amazing Central Asian type restaurants. It's just a really interesting area to explore. Rego Park is also a major shopping center for Queens with big box stores down this way, and there's the gigantic Queens Center Mall just one stop down that way, Queens Place Mall, just a lot of places to shop in this area. There's a subway line that runs down the middle of Queens Boulevard here, and the tracks for the new line would branch off and run down the frontage road here. There's room for that. The original plan for this line back in the day was to then turn down 66th Avenue, but there are now these big apartment buildings in the way. So the Queenslink folks want it to run under 67th Avenue instead, way under the apartment buildings and LIRR tracks, which would cause a lot less disruption. 67th Avenue has various advantages, the Queenslink people say. It's on a hill, so the train is further below the ground level. Also, in general, it's more single-family homes and alleyways that have shallower foundations and are much less likely to be disturbed by the digging and construction than the big apartment buildings would be. So we get to the end of 67th Avenue, and we're going to be about 80 feet underground here as we go in between buildings to go under the LIRR tracks. Now we cross under the commuter trains, and you could branch off of here, but you don't want to because these tracks are so busy you'd only be able to have 1 or 2 trains an hour, and we want more than that. Now we're getting to the park and bike lane part of the plan. Because the train is underground, you can put green space on top of it on the right-of-way and maintain things like these community ball fields, which are really important to the Forest Hills community. I'm on top of the old railroad right-of-way here in Forest Hills, and as you can tell, it's basically a jungle. Now, the new tracks, I'm finding out, would not go along this berm here. They would still be underground getting to the baseball field, and they'll come out at Metropolitan Avenue. That means this part of the trestle doesn't get used for the train. We're using the right-of-way under it. And this trestle, therefore, can be part of, say, a linear park and bike path. The train goes under Forest Hills, which I think is one of New York's prettiest neighborhoods and is best known to people from outside New York as the home of Spider-Man. Once more, we're going to be going very deep under here. It's not going to disturb these houses. We're still a long way from the first actual stop on the train. I kind of want there to be more stops, but I trust the Queenslink people about their stop spacing. We're at Yellowstone Boulevard now, still an unused part of the trestle. Keep the community garden and compost farm there. Use the right-of-way under for the Queenslink. Use the trestle on top for a beautiful linear park. Now you notice there are some express buses that stop here. I would love to have a subway stop here too, but once again, I trust the Queenslink people about their stop spacing. They're smarter than I am. And finally, Metropolitan Avenue, where it pops out over ground. Now, one of the MTA's arguments against the Queenslink is that it runs largely next to Woodhaven Boulevard, which is this big boulevard that has a lot of buses on it. But the buses don't go direct to Manhattan. They end somewhere in Queens, and they aren't as frequent as the M train would be, and they don't have all the positive knock-on effects like running the G train to Forest Hills. This is what the Metropolitan Avenue area looks like now. That part of the trestle would still be part of the linear park, and then the train would come above ground right about there. There's a high school here and a shopping district. I'm actually really familiar with this part of Metropolitan Avenue because there's a Trader Joe's here, and this is the Trader Joe's that I like to go to sometimes. The train now goes above ground to Forest Park with some noise mitigation measures that you can see here. The train then makes its way into Forest Park, where you can stand on this old tangle of tracks, which then go towards the J train at Jamaica Avenue. We're now running up on this trestle, and we're going to go over to Jamaica Avenue, where the Queenslink will meet up with the J train. Jamaica Avenue is a really busy business district surrounded by mostly single-family home areas on both sides. And the J train here goes to downtown Manhattan, but what the Queenslink would give these folks is an alternate route that would go direct to Midtown. The train will go behind these houses now down through the Woodhaven neighborhood into Ozone Park. Because the train is going directly behind houses in some cases, the Queenslink folks have looked at a lot of international examples of noise mitigation efforts, and they say they've found ways to make the train not really noticeable to the homeowners. Now we get to Atlantic Avenue, where the train meets up with an underground LIRR line. As I said, the LIRR runs under this part of Atlantic Avenue, and the Queenslink is going to run on the trestle overhead. Now, most of this project isn't about increasing or unlocking development. It's about connecting already developed neighborhoods. But personally, I think if I look at this neighborhood, there is the potential for more housing, more businesses, generally more life in this area. Of all the areas along the Queenslink, this presents to me as the one that has the most potential for that sort of development. If you look up, you can see the Atlantic Avenue station platform from the old Rockaway Beach branch train. And now here's what the Queenslink folks want to make that look like and what it looks like now. It's impressive, right? We walk down the conduit, down 100th Street towards Ozone Park, and you see that it's just overgrown on top, and there are a bunch of businesses. This was early in the morning, so a lot of the businesses were closed, but a lot of them are either automotive or recycling type businesses under the conduit. So a lot of this is going to be turned into park or recreation space. And I know that the Queenslink people have discussed what to do with the businesses and how they can help the businesses. But also just this is the kind of area and the kind of space where it could be a lot more pleasant for the residents of Queens, while also giving them a new train connection up above. There's another old train platform up there. Look at those beautiful arches. I don't think there's a station planned to be here in Ozone Park, according to the current plan. Rather, we're going to keep going along this conduit, and there's the A train up there. And so the Queenslink is going to make a turn now, and it's going to join up with the A train, and that way the new train connects the Rockaways all the way up to Rego Park and up to Midtown. So I'm going to take a turn here as well and take a look at where that station is. Now the M would join up with the A train here at Rockaway Boulevard and join the A to Rockaway Beach. Now this isn't a new line, obviously the A does it already, but I want to show you anyway because I think it's the most unexpected and the most beautiful part of the subway system. Another advantage that the Queenslink would bring is that people in half the Rockaways right now don't even get a normal train to Manhattan. They get this thing, the S, where they have to change trains for the A. And with Queenslink, they would have a normal M train that would get them all the way to Manhattan in one seat. The A train going over Jamaica Bay is downright magic. It goes past these neighborhoods where people have boats, and then it just goes over the water, and it feels like you're floating over the water, like you're in a Ghibli movie or something like that. It's an amazing journey, and the Queenslink would, of course, join this journey, and more people would be able to ride on the most beautiful part of the New York City subway system. Now we're going into Rockaway. Now, if you're not from New York, you might not think of us as a beach city, but we have miles of beach, and there are a lot of people who live down here by the beach. And this is considered an economically struggling area, in part because it's relatively hard to get from here to Manhattan. So the Queenslink would really help with that for everybody who's going to the beach for fun, but also all the people who live down here. You get off here at Beach 90th Street, and you see these big apartment buildings. There's a lot of people who live down here at the beach. This part of Rockaway has a train. It's just that the train isn't usually a one-seat ride to Manhattan. So bringing the M train down here would let folks come to the boardwalk, which you can see here, and give better connectivity for all the people living in those buildings that you can see. Rockaway is really great. I love coming down here for the beach. There's some good places to eat. It's just a great New York City amenity. There's a lot more drama here that I'm not going to get into detail about. There's a competing project that's backed by far more powerful politicians that does not include a train. There's a bogus MTA study to supposedly prove that the train can't be built. All sorts of drama. Go look it up. I just wanted to show you where the train goes. This is the second video I've ended at the waterfront, and I think that's great because we're a beach city. So this is Rockaway Beach. This is the end of the Queenslink. And if you like this video, please like and comment and tell me what else you might want me to explore.